don't know that that's going to prevent people from still speeding, but it's certainly going to increase their fines if they get caught. And so that's one of the things that we may need to do, or try to address it with the city to see what we can. Again, the problem is trying to stop us, the public from speeding is all that possible.
Yeah, they're coming off I-4 and the bridge there, and, signs.
One thing I'll say, well, we can get a traffic light, I can tell you right now.
Roundabout.
Or around here. Shoot. We think we even handle the one up the road.
I did a roundabout in Lake County. Trust me, you don't want a roundabout. They're the worst nightmare. People in Florida, and I'm from Florida, don't know how to use a roundabout.
Yeah.
I'm from a little town, actually from where Garmo was raised, more so in Whitmere, and they put a roundabout in Whitmere to this day. People are still continually crashing into each other with this. Every time I go through Whitmere, there's a wreck on one of those little roundabouts they put in. So I don't know if it's people just don't care or they don't know how to use a roundabout, but they are.
They don't.
They're an issue.
The roundabouts are not built the way they are supposed to be. Like the one that we have over there, that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. One in the land. Is
They're
there
putting
one?
new-
That's a nightmare.
Is that what you're talking about?
And they're putting another one
That
in.
works, that works.
And they're also putting one on 46.
44.
Or 44.
44 in Kepler.
Can you imagine that?
I can't because it's going to be in my front yard.
Lance?
So there's, looks like there's a plan for a 16-inch water main coming out of the complex, compact, whatever. Where do you find that in it?
Again, I'll need to get back to you with on that question because we haven't gotten to that stage.
Because I think we got like 12-inch or 6-inch pipes you're tying into, 6-inch maybe? It's a heck of a reducer.
Yeah, let me check on that and get back with you. Be sure and leave me an email or something so I can.
Yeah.
Because these preliminary plans, they don't show any existing of what we're trying to do.
And a couple other little things. Your phase 2 and phase 3. I live on Garden Street, right dead on the corner of Garden and Summit, and you're,
So I'm trying to.
so you're acknowledging me.
Yeah, I see it.
Your phase 2 and phase 3 come out right dead into my site.
Okay.
And you've got a, what do you call it? A monument sign right there on the residential side. Does that need to be on the residential side? Does
It's
it need to be there?
pointing to the side of Summit, on the opposite side of the street.
Yeah,
It's
right
actually,
there across from my house.
it's actually being relocated.
Yeah,
That was
keep it on Main Street. Why does it need to be on Summit?
It was brought up at the BLDR show, and that is being relocated.
Oh, it is being.
Yeah, we already know.
I like that. Okay. And then you show 10 feet of buffer on that side of the street and 30 feet on the other side of the compound or complex, whatever you call it. I mean, 10 feet, what is that, a set of shrubs? You know, is there gonna be any tree buffer between I live literally, if you look at your map, right on that corner. And until that came up, we've always had the woods from my front porch, which is also why I bought it at Lake Allen. I didn't mind the woods, I bought it at Lake Allen, but sitting on my front porch, I see nothing but woods. Now, and on my property, I've got some great mature oak trees. I mean, beautiful. Again, the reason I bought it, I didn't buy it to have little shrubs running down on the side yard or on the street there beside it.
And again, that was brought up at PLDRC.
Right.
On the commercial, and we are addressing the width of that landscape buffer, and we're hoping to increase it. We're hoping actually to increase it to 20 feet, maybe 25 feet,
Okay.
but that is being addressed.
Do you know if there's going to be trees left, or is that even in the talks?
The trees, we are required to do a tree survey, and the tree survey is going to identify every tree, every single one, whether it's that big or that big on the property. It's extensive. We are going to do our utmost best to save as many trees as we possibly can on that property. Unfortunately, as you know, when you build,
Right.
you have to remove some trees to do it.
Of course.
There's no way around that.
Right, of course.
But we will have a full tree survey. The trees that we do have to move, we're required by Lake Allen to pay a, well, I've got had 2 council members and a city manager, an absorbent amount of money into the tree fund. So we're paying to have for the trees, but we are gonna try to save the specimen trees that we find in the property. And that kind of stuff. I've always, I'm like you, I've been a pro tree. Matter of fact, the house, one of the houses I built, when my first house I built, I took my driveway 1,000 feet through the trees, and it took about 5 minutes to get in my house.
What a beautiful 5 minutes.
It was a beautiful 5 minutes, it sure was. So we're, and that kind of question, I would love to save all of them, but it's impossible.
Right, of
to
course.
develop a piece of property.
Just not clear cutting, and it would be nice to have a border. You know, I mean, the Knox, a lot of some of these other retirement or adult facilities or whatever they're called are beautiful. You know, they've got walls, they've got trees, they're landscaped properly. They look natural. They don't look like just concrete stuff in a beautiful community.
Well, we did, I was with Reed Creek Improvement District,
Sorry.
or County Improvements, I'd actually, the Energy Services Improvement District no longer exists, but I was out there for 27 years, and we, Disney had a tendency to build a theme park, and the parking lot was too small. They did it 4 times, we call it consistency, but they did it 4 times. And then they come along and have to expand the parking lot, and they figure out there was a hotel, where they need to expand the parking lot to face the back of the hotel where people have balconies. They started putting these landscape buffers in that they were about 15 to 20 feet, but they were done in a manner with different kinds of trees. You couldn't even see a parking lot or a building behind them, that's how dense they were. And that's what I would like to see on this residential side.
I would as well.
We, especially where the commercial is,
Right.
that's in our input.
I know all this is inevitable. I would just not like to look off my porch and
See the back of
see
the
parking lots.
Whose decision is it as to how wide that buffer will be?
We are required by code to do it one side. The ultimate decision comes to us
Oh.
if we want to make it bigger. And that's the purpose of this meeting tonight, is for that kind of feedback.
So a sewer pump station somewhere,
I'm sorry?
a pump station for sewer.
A pump station
Is
for
it going to be a
sewer.
pump station for sewer?
No. This is all N25 septic.
It's all septic.
Yeah.
So is the septic only for your area, or will we be required to be part of that?
No, ma'am, you will not.
So septic is what we have now.
Is this in-ground septic or is it above ground?
It's below ground.
It's below ground.
It's the
So there's
minimum
some-
nitrogen reduction septic systems that's required by commercials and properties now.
So it's like
It
Bigger
reduces the nitrogen out of the effluent, it creates almost no water that can be used along sprinklers and stuff.
Yeah, these are called NSF standard 245 aerobic treatment units, and how they work. Not if anybody wants to know, I'll tell you, but they're really neat. One of the things I did at Reedy Creek, I was working with water resources. We had a 50 million gallon a day wastewater treatment plant out here. And, so I'm extremely familiar with water and wastewater. I don't know if that's something to be proud of or not, but I am. But how they work is air's pumped into the aeration phases. It comes out of what's called diffusers underneath, and what that does is that feeds the bugs and turns to liquid. And as the gentleman stated, it reduces the nitrogen content in that what we call effluent by 50% of what your current septic systems, or even a lot of your current municipal wastewater plants do. So we dispose of that effluent through our drip irrigation, that's what we use it for. And the secondary effluent has 0 odor to it. Matter of fact, if you look at it, you can drink, but I really would recommend doing that, but that's how clean it is when it comes off. Quite expensive, they're about 4 times the cost of your old style septic.
And where is it located?
If you'll look very close on the plans that I brought you that doesn't identify it, they're between the buildings and the yards and
back where the Gateway Commercial, you'll look right,
Each building has one, right?
Yeah, each building's separate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, each building, each office is separate.
All right.
Next quick question, or?
I think they.
Well, you know.
No, go ahead.
And I'm not even sure if this is a question for you. I'm a nurse, so my mind, I play to the mixed use of healthcare as well as the assisted living. With that comes the emotions and the needs for the assist to respond and the needs for the fire trucks to respond. Are we prepared to support that level of response? It's going to be the uptick of that. We have a very small, I mean, since I've lived here, I was transported into complete support and failure. And they got to me very quick. I would hate to know that my response time is now going to be greatly limited because we have what did you just say, 125 bed? That's 144. That's almost as big, ladies and gentlemen, as Daytona Beach. So you think about what the bed size of that, who's in those beds, is it your geriatric patients, or who needs to be transported to the hospital? So that's a concern that, and our police, can they support the extra volume? That, and maybe that's not a question for you, maybe that's a question for our
Actually, I should
state.
refer that to
Don't be, fire and paramedic response is done through Volusia County. And there's a station right there on Main Street. Part of their study, in addition to the traffic study, will be looking at the various impacts, and that could determine whether or not, I won't say that would mean the requirement of hiring new officers, but I think that'd be more of an impact in reference to the traffic flow in terms of that aspect. But whatever they build, the house has to be designed so that an ambulance and fire truck can get in and out of there without any inconvenience.
And I'll put your mind at ease, and Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, 83 is the sister station for 35, correct?
Do what?
83, Station 83 on, in the land, over by their water,
Yeah,
it is city, but it's their sister, that there will be the second end if 35 is called out.
That's the ones that come, it's, Volusia County has a automatic mutual aid agreement with the fire services. That's why you see sometimes DLAN trucks come into Lake Ellen and Deltona trucks come into Lake Ellen. Because if Volusia County's out on something else, the other units have to automatically come in to cover. They eliminated the old system where it used to be, because they used to have a system where DLAN Fire was called to a fire scene. The house that was on fire did not pay the city's fire fee, so they protected the house next to it and watched it burn. And the county was like 20 miles away, and it took them a long time to get there, so.
And we're
They eliminated that system to where now, you
And
know,
we're
the closest unit response.
We're actually in a pretty good location, to be honest with you, because you have Station 65, which is,
63 would be faster than 65. 65 has to go all the way around. 63 straight up Lake County.
that's true, but on this side, today, 65 would be quicker, it's right there at I-4. On the center.
63 comes all the way up to the Bills.
Okay, so you have 63, you have our station, you have 83, 32, or is the other one on Firehouse Road?
32.
32, so, I mean, we have 4 fire stations all within 5 miles, 6
And-
miles.
Three ladder trucks with Orange City, Deltona, and DLAN.
So, I mean, yeah, we'll have an impact, but it isn't, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we moved to Lake County. Easing in, out, you know, so.
For sure, it's something you have to think about.
Very good question. Very good. To opine on what you were just saying, we had that situation in Lake County, which when we wrote our mascot. I don't know if it's mascot or Groveland, but somebody responded to a fire that was in that incorporated Lake County. And they did exactly what he said, they protected the house inside and watched this burn down. And at the time, unfortunately, I was a mayor at the time, so I got a lot of heat about that. And I said, don't we have a mutual aid agreement with Lake County, the city of Claremont, city of Indiana? And about 6 months after that, we did have a mutual aid to prevent that from ever happening. I couldn't imagine, a firefighter showing up and doing that, but they were instructed by their, whichever department it was, the chief to handle that, like, it was not a good situation. Usually it's one.
One comment, two quick questions. Obviously, you can tell from the tone of questions tonight, just on a kind of a core principle perspective. Lake Elm, we're 4x4 square, is that right? 4x4? Or
4 miles by 4 miles.
4 miles
Yes,
by
it
4
is.
miles, right? So we don't have very many shots at development, and if we screw it up, we pay for that price for a long time. So, so it's important to us, and I appreciate y'all's mindset coming in. So, a couple points, Brent. I raised this question at the PLDRC meeting. Is it your understanding that the Phase 1 homes do have to meet the gateway standards?
Yes.
Even though it's technically outside the gateway because it's contiguous ownership.
They have to be, they're zoned currently at, single-family residential 3. That is the goal.
But the architectural standards.
Oh, absolutely.
Within the gateway standard.
The entire project has to be.
Perfect, okay. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, commercial and residential.
And then I'm just going through the gateway standard, and it's kind of interesting on the buffer question. And this is outside of my circle of competency, okay? So I'm no expert here. But gateway standard says 50 feet in the front, that's all accepted. The exception of corner lots. The corner lots, it wraps around. And the city has the ability to say, okay, you know, if it impairs your ability to build or setback issues. But in no circumstances can it be less than 30 feet, according to the gateway standard. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding on the corner lots.
So that would then Lance's question around.
About this question.
That's what.
We would like to carry that all the way down. Because no one wants to look at a commercial building from their back porch or front porch. I mean,
I think I mentioned, I mentioned PLDRC. There are examples of great transitional properties and developments, and there are examples throughout Florida of lousy ones. We just want to get great ones. That's all.
Can I be perfectly honest with everybody in the room? I'm going to give you the worst example. It's the city of Claremont. I have never seen a more poorly designed city in my life. They've got residential next to it, they got industrial. They've got commercial in the middle of residential. They've got residential. I don't know if they planned part of the city and came around 10 years later and decided to plan the other part of the city. I don't understand what's they're doing. And it's continuing to this day. And Groveland, we tried to prevent that. We tried to do a higher density in our inner core, and then we reduced density as we went out. Unfortunately, we were saddled with a lot of high-density subdivisions on the outskirts of the city. So when I left office, we were trying to trade that density and properties for inner city properties more into the core of the city. Very poor design, and they've been successful at doing that. So we understand completely your concern. You got one shot, and if it gets screwed up, it can't be unscrewed up. And that's the reason, actually, one of the reasons they asked me if I would handle this project, is because they know my sensitivity to small towns, my sensitivity to people that live in small towns, because I'm from a small town right going forward. And when I see some of the projects that I've seen go on, I just shake my head and go, this is absolutely insane. There's no plan, there's no thinking behind this at all. If my name's going anywhere on this, rest assured, it's not going to be that way.
Well, and going back to the last meetings I mentioned there, collectively, our community has a $50 million plus investment in our homes.
Absolutely.
Right next to you.
Absolutely.
So it's important to us, obviously.
You know, when I first started doing this in the public sector, I had a situation that was horrible. City of Groveland, I bought a home in Groveland. The housing market crashed. We got 30 We didn't have a homeowners association. I had 68 acres of common land to take care of. I didn't find this out until 2 months after I purchased my home. Now, we paid about roughly $300,000 for our home. Not a lot of money for anything in the world, but that's what we paid. And I said, my wife, I said, I think we've made a horrible investment. We started growing up in the vacant lots, retention ponds started growing up. So I had to actually start a homeowners association. I had to go through that whole process. And in the interim of the 24 months it took me to do that, I was mowing all of that common area with my little riding lawnmower. I'd start on Monday and I'd start again on Monday and start again on Monday. But I was dedicated to making the neighborhood nice, and then as the market changed, we began to get new homes, and now we have a full-fledged, very healthy home association. So my dedication to these projects in general is more than just monetary, much more than just monetary. It's the aesthetics of it and the effects of the adjacent neighbors. And I'm quite sure that's why they asked me to come and work on this project with them, because they knew that I'm not a person that comes in, grabs a bunch of money and runs off. I'm here for the rest of my days having a home. Thank you.
If I could say something on that? I'm new to Lake Helen. I've worked next door to Tim for almost 10 years. I was in Lake Helen, so I can tell you as a mayor and what he's talking about and what he did there for Grover. But when Mr. Luther told me that he was signing the project to Tim, I felt much better in the fact of knowing the working relationship that we had with two cities being side by side. I was the manager, but he was the mayor. But I know where Tim's view comes from. He views it from the elected side and how it affects the constituent, not from the business side.
Mr. Mayor,
You only get one, you're done. Go ahead.
Lance Reyes. We've heard rumors of convenience stores, but I didn't hear that from you tonight. Is that out?
That's out. We at this point, we don't have any desire. And here's why. Most of your convenience store includes gas pumps.
Beauty stores are let
And gas pumps, gas stations.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't
We don't want
want,
that.
we don't want anything.
That's what I was worried about. Thank you for confirming.
Hi, Tim. Thanks again. Jeremy, one of the board members here, along with Kurt and Roxanne. And just, could you say more about the stormwater plan? Because as you are probably aware, the Woods of Lake Helen, within the city of Lake Helen, is currently the only self-contained stormwater system in the city. Obviously, it was designed and built to, handle the stormwater for our subdivision. This property, as I picture it, there are some elevation changes, and in the event of a hurricane or some extreme weather, is the potential for some of that water to exit the system, or?
No, we're required under,
That makes sense.
yeah, we're required under Lake Helen code and the state law. We cannot discharge water on somebody else's property. We have to contain, it used to be the first 1 inch, now it's the first 3 inches of water. Now, 3 inches doesn't sound a lot until you spread it out over 3 acres, and it's a lot of water at that point. But we have to contain that on our properties, and we would lose from doing something.
And you also have to go through St. John River Management for the approval of the stormwater system and the elevation of the other things that go into it.
Absolutely. That's called our environmental resource permit, our ERP permit. St. John's is quite, thank you, getting those permits, so they ensure that stormwater works properly, that our elevations, and also that our drainage continuity is correctly to maintain any productivity that comes off our property within our property.
I have a couple questions. Jeremy brought up a really good point, which I had thought about when Lance was speaking. I do the Adopt a Road. I've done that for 6 years, Summit in Maine. And the elevation where this commercial is going to be is substantially higher than the residential lots. So when you do phase one and you do the stormwater, are you doing it at that time for all of that? Because when you take that out, you know, even for phase one, you're taking away that ability, that property's ability to contain this water. That's my first question. My second question is, will this water that you capture in your stormwater, is it going to run into or in any way affect the stream, the natural stream that is adjacent to these properties?
There again, that's a question that will be determined during engineering. But the way a stormwater pond works, it does have an outfall device. It's either set at a 10-year floodplain, 25, or 100 years floodplain. And, or storm plain, I should say. And what happens is that, for instance, we had a 10-year storm event. And it's set at 10-year. At that point, the final receiving body would be a water body, but it would probably be done through more percolation. It's not piped into any streams or any pipes or anything like that.
Did you see where the county just, I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, through the county processes are going to start adding an extra 6 inches to the tops of the retention ponds? Are you familiar?
Yes,
Okay.
very, very familiar.
Okay.
And what that's allowing is, especially in this area, most of your ponds are wet bottom and not dry bottom. So when you do that, it allows these ponds to hold more water. And I think what they're trying to do is to give these for a 25-year storm event. I think that's the purpose behind what they're doing. But we have to comply 100% with St. Joe.
Will they hold for the 500 year, like we just had at Ian, that they say, or recently, they're calling 1,000 year event, so.
Which news station are you listening to?
It's just on there, even with what we just had, Debbie.
Yes, in reality, there is
Yeah.
no 500.
No, there's not.
1,000 year down.
No, it's just, there's a lot of, like you were using Claremont as a perfect example, a lot of the problem with Claremont is the hilly structure, the elevations, and that's what I'm, to go full circle. What I'm talking about here is for everybody on Kirk, on Summit.
Yeah. Our pond will be designed to contain anything that comes in there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, you wouldn't even believe the regulatory issues that go along with these
I would.
stormwater ponds. If you ever had to do them, they're quite involved. They even take about a year.
I've got two questions. The first one is, was there an impact study done in the increased number of vehicles that we're going to see coming in to support these more commercial, the assisted living, medical buildings?
Listen, that's going to fall out in our traffic study, and the impacts that come in will be addressed in the traffic study. It's going to tell us everything from car traffic, truck traffic. It's going to look at the size of the roads, the current capacity that's on the roads, and there's improvements.
Okay. And then my second question is, beyond these 3 phases, do you own the other land to the left of this? And if so, you don't. Okay. And for anybody with the city, or is there other plans for development to beyond that?
Meaning on this side of I-4?
Yeah, west of their property.
Not that.
Those are privately owned, and I just know that because I worked on the conservation plan for so long.
Okay.
They're privately owned, and as of this time, I know of no one else that wanted to develop.
Okay.
Not that they want, but.
Right. Okay.
Did you say you plan to start building in 18 months? Are you up there?
No, ma'am, we're planning probably 12, 18 months just on the engineering.
Okay.
We're probably looking at 3, maybe 4 years before any construction actually is installed in that project. And I'm guessing that both of those numbers, the planning on these projects, everyone knows,
That's even for phase 1. It'll be that long?
we're planning and designing everything at one time. But yeah, that will be, phase 1 has to be done first because of the.
Only got 2 minutes.
Sir, do you have another question?
Yes. So with the loading docks being on several sections of Where are all the deliveries going to be coming in from?
We're addressing that action, that came up with PLDRC also. I don't remember the gentleman's name that gave me the list, but very, very comprehensive.
Todd.
Yeah, well,
He gave me a very well-written list, which made it easy for good. And they're currently being, probably we're gonna take some of the additional parking spaces and reconfigure those and get these load and unload spaces out of the main view of everyone. And also.
so are they going to be coming in on Summit side, or Main Street, or both, or
I doubt they're
are
gonna
they
be
going up and down our streets? All night?
We're actually hoping to put those in the interior of the, we don't know for certain, but that's why I prefer to see them.
With another helicopter?
That'd be nice, but no, we're not gonna help
I
at all.
don't think. Drones.
Yes, ma'am.
So we-
Yes, this actually is a question for staff also. With this project, will the builder be absorbing some of the costs for the need of a new well? Possibly the one discussed on Church Street?
That will all be done based on studies and when the land development order is done. But right now, we're so far away, that can't be addressed there.
Will what we have currently, our infrastructure with our well system, will that be sufficient for what you have, or do you think you'll need more?
It's sufficient at this time as far as we know, but what I want everybody to understand is the amount of impact fees that we're paying to build this project. It's gonna be a huge boost to your capital improvement fund, not only in your water, but also in your police and your restoration. We have estimated we'll probably be paying close to, if not more than $1 million in impact fees. And that's, figure's probably gonna be.
Sorry, can you repeat that figure?
Probably more than $1 million.
More than $1
That's what I
million?
think. We haven't calculated or kind of guessing at that. But projects this size pay a huge amount of impact fees directly into the city prior to the start of projects.
Will the city be able to, this is for the staff, will the city be able to allocate funds when it's shown that it's needed? So it doesn't affect all of us
So,
taxpayers?
any questions pertaining to staff, you handle that as,
Is this not a connect?
no, it's a HOA meeting, and it's only about HOA stuff that affects the HOA.
I thought this was an open meeting.
It is an open meeting, but I'm the president of the HOA that called it, so I can dictate how the rules go. That's a question you can ask during a commission meeting, because it has nothing to do, impact fees right now have nothing to do with us right now. We're asking about how we're gonna make it look good for the Woods of Lake Helen and to coexist with one another. That's why this meeting is called.
I understand, I think it affects each and every one of the members of the
I'm not gonna,
HOA too.
that's something you can ask at a commission meeting.
We'll do that.
Because we have commissioners here and stuff like that, I don't want to get into any of sunshine laws or any questions asked that could create a problem with that.
This may have already been said, or I missed this, but how many stories is the assisted living supposed to be, and then the other medical buildings?
The medical buildings are 1, and the assisted living is scheduled for 3 at this point, and they drop to 2, and the county may drop to 2. I think you have a building, like this, residential services.
Can you repeat that? Did you say that the assisted living was 3-story and the medical buildings are all 1?
They're all 1, that is correct.
Has that plan changed? Because I believe the medical building is typically, or prior, were multi-story?
Not in my knowledge, I never saw it unless it changed somewhere in the versions.
Okay.
My last understanding of water. And the assistant is 3. That was my last understanding.
The ALM, you said they go from 3 down to 2.
It may, it depends on their end on the, as we go into it. But all the buildings will be the same.
What
None
is-
will be higher than that.
I also wanted to ask about the restaurant. I know it's been referred to as a restaurant, but in the meeting you referred to it as fast food. Is there a particular brand that you all have found through the city?
No, ma'am, there isn't.
No?
No.
Okay.
I know what I would like to see, but
So meaning that they come, let's say McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, right?
actually, I like to see Chick-fil-A, but that's just me.
Because that's more attractive again, right?
And there again, that location's locked into a restaurant, not necessarily a fast food. There again, we don't have any fast food restaurants that have signed agreements with us. But matter of fact, we haven't even discussed it with the restaurants.
Do you have someone for sure that is in with you for the assisted living facility?
We've talked to many people. We've done these in the past. Matter of fact, I worked on one in Jim's hometown in Oakland. We did, and we worked with several companies on that particular one. And we don't know where that stands right now. We sold the property, and we do not know where that stands right now.
Didn't you all just do one right down the road on Lake Helen Road in Deltona?
We did not. I did.
Okay.
I did.
Is the restaurant the only retail space, or are there going to be other?
That's the only retail space planned. We don't expect that to change.
Any other questions before I ask one?
So the three-story assisted living is within the allowed height of those buildings?
Our understanding it is, as we get more into the final engineering, we'll verify that. That's the reason I said it's 3-story, but it may drop to 2. We have to, when we get into the final engineering, we'll verify.
Who has to decide that? You guys?
No, ma'am. That'll be your city staff and also your city council.
Okay.
I suspect we'll probably have more meetings as this project just goes along and we get another into it. But actually, I've got some pretty good input, and it seems the buffers are important to a lot of people, and they're also important to you. That's one of the most important things. We don't want to, but you folks came and you built your homes, you bought your property, you built your homes. You have the right to enjoy those. In the same respect, we have the right to develop our property and enjoy it. But we've got to come to a common ground where everybody can live with everybody else. And once we reach that middle ground, then we all walk away shaking hands. And that's what the goal is.
I look forward to that.
That's what our goal is.
So I do have one question. I know we've talked about this already in this meeting, but as far as deliveries and unloading and docking and all that, you're saying you're trying to put it towards the interior.
I would rather.
But, and that's wonderful, because no one wants, the residential doesn't want to see that. But as far as how the traffic flow will be to get into there, I would hope that it would be directed off of Main, because my concern is those roads that go through our subdivision that continue on into this complex, people are going to start using them as through streets and trucks, and I just can't imagine having that.
Normally, in some of the other projects, and then we've had a designated delivery area, and in this case, it would be off of Main. And the way we prevent that is we make the entry for our deliveries large enough for the trucks, and the entry is also not harmed.
Okay.
So that makes them go to the right driveway to the driveway. There's no way around it. That's the best way to prevent a driver saying, oh, this is a shortcut, I'm just going to take it to the standard.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
can't.
easy.
If they're on and off I-4, that's easier for them anyway.
It's much easier for them. yeah.
Design it to encourage that.
Does this illustration show a walking path around the stormwater area?
It does, at this point, that was brought up
Okay.
at the PLDRC. We are going to try to incorporate that. Here's the problem that we have. If we put a walking path around that, we're going to have to, for instance, And if we fence it, it's gonna be, in my opinion, we'd rather landscape it and do the Dora plantings down the side. It looks much more natural and looks a lot better. But if we put a chain link fence around it, I don't think it's gonna.
I completely agree.
I don't want the fence for the wildlife. I want the wildlife, whatever they can have to roam freely, and they need that access. They are very embedded there.
We're already losing 23 acres?
Yes, we are.
We're already
Yeah.
losing 23?
I did my part.
You know. Anybody have any other questions? All right, so I just have a few things. Mike, you're, Oh, was that Jim? Jim. Jim. Oh. Oh, okay.
Hey, Mo.
So,
Hey there.
on the lots that are gonna be homes, I haven't asked. But, well, first off, they're independent builders, right? They're gonna be 10 lot, or however many lots you divided into are lots that are gonna be sold to independent or developers, correct? All right, cool. My ask is that before that happens, please don't clear cut. I mean, you just leave the buffer for as long as possible until the developer comes in to build that. That'll give some woods, because I'm telling you right now, I can't tell you how many baby deer I see in my yard right now. And that's where they're coming from, to be honest with you. They really are.
I have a path.
I have turkeys, so Thanksgiving I'll have a new bird. No, just joking. My wife is shooting. So that would, I mean, if that's something that you can say, hey, if we're building the retention pond, can we go ahead and just cut directly in off of Main to get to, or come in off of Michigan or wherever, just to keep those lots as wooded as possible for as long as possible. That's an ask that I have.
Let me do this. Let me check with our engineer on this. We're gonna have to build the stormwater pond.
I understand.
We're gonna have to pipe it, but the contour or the grading going down these lots are probably going to be a flow into a natural area as opposed to the pond. So let me ask them how we can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, because we're eventually gonna lose it, and I would like to keep it as long as possible. And I think most of the residents would like to keep it as long as possible to keep the wildlife, because they're gonna be displaced, we're not gonna have a lot of places to go. I hope you guys are ready to go for turtles that are in there, because I have one that comes across my street, and I mean, there's a ton of them in there. And I haven't set up my camera yet, but I do believe there are scrub jays in there. So, you know, if there is, you know, that the whole project will on hold with scrub jays.
You said scrub trees?
Yes. So those are the, and also the 10 lots, or however many lots are in there, is it going to be an HOA?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the entire property will be an HOA.
The whole property will be an HOA.
There we go. What we may do on this, we may, since part of it's commercial and part of it's residential, we may do a master HOA for the entire property that'll be responsible for taking care of such things as internal roads, stormwater, that kind of business. Then we may do a sub HOA for the residential, since they are two different applications. And we've done that in the past. A lot of times when you get an HOA, you've got residential and mixed use thing, you've got residential and commercial mixed together. The commercial pretty much takes over and doesn't care about the residential. I've seen it happen. So a lot of times we just have a two-level. We have a master and then a sub. And that allows the HOA, the 10 homes, to more or less control what they need to control, and the master control for the stuff such as stormwater maintenance, road maintenance, signage, and this kind of things that go along.
David, what's it?
The other thing I have is the traffic on Summit will increase. And this is something I'm going to bring up to the commission when we get there, is there a way to circumvent the traffic off of Church to turn left onto Main? So that's, because in order to get to head west, you got to come down Summit to go left to go west. And that creates a lot of problems already. So that's just going to be an increase in the traffic as far as that goes. And that's just something, I mean, I know you have no control over what happens on Church Street, but, you know, if there's a way, you know, to help circumvent that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Say that one more time, Kurt.
So, in order to go west on Main from Church, they have to come down south.
Right.
That's why you have all those, is it Mr. Cherry? All his rigs run right by my house early in the morning.
There's a reason why that's done that way.
That's a DOT thing.
Yes. It's-
Really? That's the stupidest thing I've ever
Take it
heard.
up with DOT.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes.
We'll put a roundabout there. So, no, but I mean, maybe that's something we'll have to discuss with DOT, as a city to discuss with DOT. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
They wanted us to shut down Church Street.
Huh?
They wanted us to shut down Church Street.
Oh, hell no.
So,
So, hold on. Kelly, what was your question for staff? Go ahead and ask that question to Jim, as far as.
I'm hoping that we will have this at a public meeting that's more advertised than this. Because as far as I'm aware, this was an open meeting and
I asked and you said, and I said.
It is an open meeting, but it was mainly about the HOA.
So I want to talk about that because we're all sitting here and I like my neighbors. I like my neighbors. They may not like me, but I like my neighbors. There are people that live back here on phase one who have lived here for generations and not one of them is in this room and not one of them has been included in this meeting. Not one of them. This black community back here has been here long before the city of Lake County was ever formed, and it makes me mad as hell that we're sitting here making these determinations. They are just as worthy to have a right in any of this as we are.
But no, let's get this straight. This was a private meeting that Tim volunteered to come here. If this were a city meeting, Nancy, this would have been advertised and people would have been notified. You're treating it and acting as if this was a public meeting and a part of the community is excluded. This was a meeting that Mr. Louch offered, this
Why are you
HOA.
yelling at me?
He offered this meeting at your
Why are you
HOA.
yelling? Why are you yelling?
Calm down.
No, I'm making a point.
Nobody's voice
You're
was raised before.
you're attempting to make a negative issue out of the fact where they are meeting and meeting with whoever, and they have said they will meet with whoever needs to meet.
They don't know there's a meeting. They don't know.
This wasn't a public meeting.
So will there be a meeting,
He can
an
set a
additional
separate time
meeting?
with that community. He can arrange for a meeting with that community.
I hope you will.
And those meetings will be in front of PLDRC and the city commission.
They
all
should have,
the
they should be
companies.
afforded the same that we are. Like I said, those people have been there long before us. And when those roads were dirt roads, they were there. They should have the same ability to have some input. Their properties, their family's generational properties. The Cherries, do they know?
They were all impacted by your development.
I'm sure they were. And they had input. And let me just clear something up. I didn't build my home there, I bought it, and it sat there for a long time before I came in and bought it. So I don't know why you're sitting here publicly trying to slam me, because
And you knew what was owned when you bought next to you.
when I bought it, there was nobody on my block, Mr. Gleason.
No, commercial property
Nobody.
and
The only new
commercial property was
the
owned.
only new property that had been built was the Richies had built before me. That was it. There was stuff on the tax roll that were built for years, never made the tax rolls, and my appraiser had to pull from the gardens. So this isn't what this meeting's about. I'm just asking, going forward, can we please include the black community? They are important to this development. And a lot of them were part of their family's lands were part of that conservation group. They were willing to do that. Can we at least be kind to them and say, this is going to be in your front yard? Because it is going to be in their front yard.
Miss Andy, when did you move to Lake County, just out of curiosity? How many years?
I've been here for over 6 years.
The reason one of the things that I have a little concern about is that, to answer your question, yes, but I have a little concern when your comprehensive plan was adopted.
Excuse me?
Your 2035 comprehensive plan was adopted. The entire city, and I know they had numerous public hearings on that. And this land was assigned, we didn't request this assignment of this zoning and land application we got. assigned the property in your master plan.
Mm-hmm.
And we accepted that. We owned the property since 2012, since 1999. So we accepted that land use. We would have probably rather have had a different kind of land, but we just accepted what the city did in the master plan. Now, when we looked at developing the property, I looked at the land use, it's called the comp plan. I looked at the zoning that was allowable underneath it. And we could have came in and requested a comp plan amendment to put an apartment complex there.
I'm aware of that.
You know, there's a lot of different things. But I said, no, I said, this is a residential area. You've got the front, we don't want to put junk in the front, or we want to try to create the least amount of impacts that we possibly can. And so we didn't ask that, we didn't ask for any variances or waivers away from anything. We agreed to do the PD or PVD, which gives the city a lot of latitude with what we do, what we agreed to do to adhere to the architectural design of that exists now. So we're agreeing to a lot of things too. So in reality, this isn't a negative project. This is the project
I'm
that's
not
going to bring.
saying that.
It's going to bring very, very low money in, or very much money into the city, which is going to help your infrastructure. And we are sitting here tonight trying to make sure that it is the best looking, the best fit that we possibly can make it. So that is our goal, and as I say, we're probably going to have a lot more meetings as this project progresses. They may be like this with different groups. And this, I cannot have the entire city in one meeting and answer every single question every single citizen's got. It's impossible. But I will do my utmost to answer the groups that I meet with, circuit with. And if there's other people you feel I should meet with, please let me know. If they've got an HOA, I'll contact you.
They don't have an HOA, they're your zone 2 commissioner, and he should talk to his people down here.
Absolutely, and we'll be more than happy, because yes, anyone that's affected by this,
They are directly affected. This is literally their front yard.
you know, they
Their front
definitely,
yard.
and they're more than welcome again to come to any of the public meetings, and I know that your PLDRC board and your council allows plenty of comments, which we take to heart. We don't just listen to them and not do anything, we do take them to heart. So everybody does have input. You folks were gracious enough to us. We put this meeting together so I could come up and listen to some of your ideas and some of your things and try to incorporate in our conversation.
We may have another one.
We may have another one or even more. I don't know.
Thank you for being open on that.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for being open
Yes.
and willing to do another meeting with more groups.
Yeah, we will, you know, as I said, we're at the very end stage of this, and we don't want to get to final design and go before your city council with this final design that you folks don't know anything about. You say, well, this is what we're going to do, and we've got the land use, and we've got the zoning, we're going to shove this down your throat whether you like it or not. We don't want to do it. That's not the way we operate.
That's why I'm asking you to include them. They're just like it's Kurt's next door. It is literally their front yard.
Or
And
Jason.
it's right there.
Yeah, and we will. If somebody can give me their contact information, some addresses, some street names or something, that would be.
All in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania and church. We were just talking about church. I mean,
It's going to impact church as well.
it's going to impact all of it.
And I agree, you know.
Absolutely, we're trying to follow this.
Maybe our zone 1 commissioner can arrange a town hall, and you can come in, and zone 2 can arrange a town hall.
Put that on your list, Art.
Yep.
Town hall meeting.
The one thing they're worried about is the traffic.
Yeah.
And you guys are addressing the traffic.
And that's what, I think that's the biggest concern that a lot of people have on Summit right now is the traffic. And even maybe people coming in off of Brevard to Lake University, to Brevard, coming in that way off of Ohio, coming the back way off of Washington, to Pennsylvania. I mean, because.
All of our roads.
Yeah, everything.
They're coming off for that. They're gonna use those roads, whichever ones are extended into there especially.
Have you heard?
Michigan and I
Have
don't
you
know
heard
if
of
those other
the-
ones are extended. But I did want to thank you for coming. I want to thank the board for arranging this. I know that the intent was not to exclude anyone. We have 100+ residents or homes in the woods. So if everyone had come, that would have been a big meeting. So you have to draw a line somewhere. It definitely wasn't anyone's intention
I
to
expect it to be
exclude.
standard room only,
But there could be more, and I think we're looking, our concerns are theirs, but they should have an opportunity to, express their concerns too. But it definitely wasn't a meeting to exclude anyone.
No, and I did not mean to do that. I mean, honestly, I thought,
Let's not,
yeah, I
I'm
just
trying to
wanted.
say, let's include those people
You
who
know
are
what?
affected.
Maybe if we have another meeting with them as an HOA, we'll reach out to them.
There's a handful, there's just a handful right
And that's
there,
fine.
and they deserve.
And I tell you what, the next time we have this meeting, please let me know, and we'll make accommodations to have you show up. I mean, it is, and I agree with you. It's everybody's, it's, yes. How many residents do you have? 29? Oh, we finally. So it is a small town community, and basically everybody knows everybody, or knows somebody through somebody, or something like that.
Well, I think because of, the comment that, this was, the woods came, they were there, the woods interjected into them. Why don't we have the common courtesy to include them when we're sitting here getting preferential treatment and having input? They should too.
And you're
They
right.
should as well.
I mean, I'm friends, I'm friends
Absolutely, you're friends with your neighbors.
I'm friends with Blanche.
Absolutely. I am.
We wave every time we see her in the yard, and so.
They've been,
You're absolutely
their
right.
families have been established here for literally decades before the city of Lake Helen was formed. And I think just common courtesy is truly being a good neighbor, not shutting them out, not bickering about it.
And that wasn't my intention, please, I hope you don't think, I just wanted to, because there was a lot of grumbling, I shouldn't say rumbling within the HOA as far as once we knew that this was coming. And I wanted to try to put everybody's mind at ease. And Tim was so kind when I went to him and say, or even at the board, or commission meeting, would you schedule them? And I said it on the record, and he said yes. So, I mean, I just wanted to put our residents' mind at ease, just at that point. If we have another one, fine, we'll invite, other people. But like Tim said, at some point in time, we could end up with 150, 200 people here. Then where are we going to put
We don't typically fill the
Well,
room.
it doesn't, but here's the thing. If we keep it as open meetings, anybody can show up. And then where does that put us, type of deal. But I agree with you. I mean, does anybody have any questions or comments before we dismiss the meeting?
I just wanted to say to the HOA, I had the understanding that it was open.
It is an open
And, no,
meeting.
and I thought the city was involved because Mr. Gleason's here, so.
Well, I gave strict instructions to both commissioners. They couldn't speak or ask questions. There was enough room. So I didn't even expect the city to be here myself, to be honest with you.
My confusion was.
But that's fine.
I was invited. Yeah, actually, we invited us. So.
But you understand my confusion,
No.
that it wasn't a.
No, I knew it was an HOA, because Mr. Laux had said at the meeting, when he was asked by your president, would you come and meet with our HOA? I got an email from Tim, and he set up a meeting with the Woods HOA.
Thank you for your response.
All right, Tim, I thank you on behalf of the residents for coming out. I'm pretty sure if you send one email, you're gonna get 100,000 emails from people on what about this, what about this, what about this. I'm just throwing that out there. But thanks again for listening to our concerns, and I hope that we can come to a compromise and understanding. And, yes, you have building rights, you have property rights, and I think we all understand that. They bought the property, they can do with it as they please. But I do appreciate the fact that you're actually looking at expanding the conversation, looking at the guidelines for the gateway buildings, right? Because, like I said, I would have liked it, but I had to wipe out the guidelines. So, any other questions from anybody? Would you like to make closing remarks, sir?
Yeah, folks, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know it's hard during a weekday. We all work all day, and they come out to a meeting late at night, and it is late at night. By the time I get home, I'll be 11. But to the other side of Lake County. But Again, our goal is to not exclude anyone, is to take the input that we receive from the adjacent neighbors and try to incorporate it in our project, come to a common goal that everybody can live with. And that is what our goal is to try to do here tonight and as we go through the process. People, and I'm going to say this hesitantly, do not like development. They don't, I don't. And I do not like development. I don't want anybody building a house next to my house. So you know what I did? I bought a lot next to my house. I did. I literally bought the lot next to my house, and it sat vacant for years and years and years until I had a medical issue that I needed to sell to pay for the medical issue, but that's what I did. In very rare cases, do you have a developer that will come and meet with the residents? A lot of them will say, a lot of these are core developers. We've got the property rights, we're gonna do what we wanna do. Well, they do what they wanna do, and then everybody's back. We don't want that. It's so much easier to come to a common goal and sit up there. That's the purpose of these. If we need to include some more people that are adjacent, as Nancy referred to, it doesn't bother us in the least to do so. We'd be more than happy to, we weren't aware of what we would have contacted them. But if anything, we want to be known in Lake Elman as a fair and honest developer, because we are. We don't want to leave a bad reputation. You guys know I live in the city of Groveland. Groveland's not that big, so it wouldn't take too long for you to find out exactly where I live at. So
I'm on it right now.
I don't trust me. I don't want to get that guy.
Who's your brother get on the call?
Lance, who's your brother?
Who is your brother?
Mark Spears. He's married to one of the Judys.
Oh, one of the Judys. I know the Judy family.
Yeah.
I do know the
He's
Judy.
married to Dale Judy's sister.
Did you have one more comment or questions before we?
I know you know.
You good? All right, thanks again, guys. You had your opportunity during open forum.
I just want to thank you.
No, it doesn't matter.
I'm ending before. I appreciate you inviting me, commissioners. Tim, I apologize for some of the professionalism that was shown at our city hall tonight. I apologize for that. And hopefully we can see that.
No unprofessional shown at all. Things are not things
You're right. Okay, yes, so the real question here is going to be under the guidelines, zoning or gateway.
know it better than anybody else.
Because Church Street is halfway up the ramp, they could allow the left hand turn. But the other option is allow the city to buy the old gas station property. Come around the curve back to the Church Street.
Because he's coming off of like 4.
That would allow.
Coming off of eastbound, you know, 5-4, you're sitting there. It's like, that's that car, and then it comes over the bridge. I mean, I would tell you, a lot of them don't realize. You know, when it stops just before Church Street. And he's on the east. Not like too many. Not
Chase Road and.
I knew that our sisters. We had 5 stations. You have 8, 30
Problem is, this is a ladder.
There's a ladder at 65, it's going on. And a ladder at 81.
There's a ladder at 65.
81, 68.
But 65, they're going to come I-4.
But it's only a mile off of 1. It's only a mile. And I say only a mile, depending on the time of day, it can take you 3 hours.
2, 3. They used to have one at 30, up the still there. Of course, their problem's going to be as far as I know, the biggest amount that we got, I think, is 15. That includes supply of water. Wasn't there this morning?
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Roxanne's a good girl too. My girl. That's a Roxanne's a good girl. She's a good girl.